So, guys, I give you Shawn from Polkadot.
Hey, everyone. It's great to see so many faces, so many new ones, some old ones too. I have a warning. I've been known to speak pretty fast, so I leave it as you all to tell me to slow down when I get too excited about what I'm talking about, you know? But I've been here in Puerto Rico for almost a year now. I've been enjoying my time here.
And what brought you to Puerto Rico?
Yeah, I mean, so basically I was living in Berlin for the last 3 years ago, for 2 years. I was working at Parity. I was building Polkadot for the last 3 years. And COVID hit, and there was a lot of...
You can't hear in the back? All right, so move up. Move up a little. You're speaking to the mic.
Yeah, I think I'm speaking. Okay.
You scream at them.
Yeah, I'll scream.
They want to fucking hear you. Come on.
Yeah, but I was living in Berlin, and COVID hit, and it was kind of strange to be abroad during the kind of uncertain times.
It sucked.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I was coming back to the States, and I found that Puerto Rico was literally the place that was most friendly to the kinds of work I was doing, the kinds of things that we all are interested in, which is cryptocurrencies, the future of blockchain technology and finance, and Puerto Rico was the hub for that in the entire U.S.
And it still is.
It is.
Exactly. The people are great. The food is great.
Yeah, everything.
The island is just beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little weird to say, but my mom actually lives here too. Now she retired and she came to visit me, and she just stayed.
Good.
She just literally stayed. She was like, I'm not leaving this place ever again. So,
dude, why would you want to leave?
I know, right?
It sucks out there.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying all the beautiful things about Puerto Rico, both in the tech side, being able to have everyone here, and also enjoying the beautiful island itself and all the people.
I got a quick question.
Of course.
I had to Google you. I'm not one of these guys that have been into crypto for a long time and stuff like that. I'm fairly new to the game, so whenever my brother says, "Listen, you got this guy coming on, I think you should research him," I do my research a little bit. You know what I mean? And I believe I read that you fucking hacked PlayStation at 13 to get free games.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, please.
I mean, my start with programming has basically been video game driven. Like, I just love video games. And when I was young, my father bought me a PlayStation Portable, one of the game consoles. And he didn't buy me any games. He saw some games on the side of the box, but they didn't come with any games. And he wasn't going to spend another $50, to buy me a game. So I had to figure out, okay, I had this electronic device in my hand. How do I actually play with it? So I started figuring out ways to hack it, to install homebrew games, to install, a bunch of different things on it, and start developing on that. And I think I've just been developing ever since.
I bet you he regrets that now. He's like, shit.
No, he loves that.
He loves it.
So in between him grounding me for not playing video games, he loves the fact that he introduced me to Xbox, PlayStation, all those things. That really got me into tech to begin with.
And I think about it, how many times didn't I yell at my son for fucking playing video games?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, go fucking play. Go ahead.
No, the trick is, I think, to lead challenges. So my father would, put a password on the computer. It was my challenge at that point then to figure out a way past the password, past whatever, install a second operating system on the computer, access that with all my video games, be able to show him nothing is, wrong on the original operating system. Like, all these kinds of things, little barriers that you can overcome. It's kind of ways you learn to hack. I don't know.
All right, so you came to the island, you fell in love with it, and then your mother even fell in love with the island. Mm-hmm. So what keeps you here on the island now?
Yeah, I mean, if it isn't people like this audience right here, obviously, it's hard to argue that when you come to give a presentation about Polkadot or the things you work on, that there's over 200 people coming to listen to you.
Yeah, we got a nice crowd here today.
That's amazing. I think the truth is, we live still in a remote culture. I think it's gonna be very hard for a lot of companies to go back to working in the office, right? And so when you think about, the places you want to be or the things you want to do or experience when you're not in front of the computer, Puerto Rico has all that for you. So this is really why I'm still here,
It's an amazing thing. I know that there's a lot of things that you wanted to make sure we touch bases on. What are some of the things that are coming up for you on the island, and what are the things that we all know that everybody wants to hear about, the fucking auctions and how you do the auctions, but what are the other things that Polkadot's working on and stuff that you got going on?
Yeah, so I think I would love to cover Polkadot. Obviously, auctions are the things that we're going to get to, but I think we want to cover all the basis of Polkadot before we get there. But before I get into that, maybe I want to ask real quick, so who here before this talk has heard about Polkadot?
Yo!
Okay, cool.
Good room.
Who here would consider themselves a developer? A lot less. Interesting. But who
developer? Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. But who here, for example, does staking? Anyone do staking or like other income revenue streams on cryptocurrencies? Okay, some stuff. Okay, cool. Well, my goal is to explain Polkadot, and the truth is, like the honest truth is, Polkadot is a quite technical topic. Like it's a hard thing to explain to people because it's a very kind of low-level protocol type thing. But I'm gonna try my best to do that, and I would love if anyone has any clarification points they want to bring up during that.
Remember, our crowd is great because there's a mixture between some high-level personnel in the crypto space, and there's beginners here too.
Yeah.
So that's what makes our community such great people. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I know that there's a lot of stuff like Kusum that you wanted to talk about. Let's talk a little bit. Let's touch a little bit on that.
Yeah. So I have some
guys.
questions.
If you guys can be quiet, if not, get out.
Yeah.
That's simple.
So I have some questions here that I think that are very common to ask. Things like, okay, and then start with them. So what is Polkadot, right? So Polkadot, like many other things, is a blockchain. But its purpose is to connect other blockchains together. So unlike many of the existing blockchain systems out there, like say Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc., those are like individual blockchains. They live in their own world. Polkadot is trying to act as like an internet, which connects all these different blockchains together, allowing them to communicate and interoperate with one another. And so I guess if you kind of think about this vision, I want to explain to you why we think that is the future. So I think there's no arguing to people in this crowd that blockchains is going to be part of our future. Blockchains provide a lot of the core things like decentralization, trustless interaction, security that you don't get in the modern world.
Blockchain is critical right now.
Yeah, whether it be finance or even be like just doing software computing, right? Blockchain can provide to you different levels of security which you could never have before. So blockchains are definitely part of the future. The other thing we saw is that a lot of blockchain systems right now that are trying to do everything. I'll give an example: Ethereum, which is trying to build like a Turing-complete smart contract platform.
Speak into the mic, please.
Yeah, sorry. Blockchains are trying to do everything, don't quite do anything quite well. So you have platforms like Ethereum, which are really amazing. You can really build any kind of program you want on the smart contract platform, right? But the issue is that you're seeing that Ethereum is going to the really high fees, a lot of congestion, a lot of traffic, and it's not really usable at that point. And the reason why is because Ethereum hasn't been optimized for any particular use case. You're trying to do everything. You're trying to get a tool in a toolkit which does everything, but it doesn't do any one thing the best.
So how is Polkadot different?
Yeah, so what Polkadot is trying to enable is blockchains to be developed which have specific functionality. For example, if you want to be a DeFi chain, that is your functionality. If you want to be an identity chain, that is your functionality. If you want to be anything else in there, if you want to be like a non-profit type chain, that is your functionality. And you can design the primitives of your chain with that in mind. And finally, if you believe, again, these different blockchains all bring utilities, then you can connect them together and have them work together, right? You can have your DeFi chain talk to your identity chain talk to your non-profit chain. All of these things can work together, all with their own individual primitives connected together in this Polkadot ecosystem.
That's awesome. So you can help our girls out tonight because they're trying to get into the blockchain space.
Yeah.
And because they know that there's a big crypto community here, and the crypto community wants to help them out.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get into that space.
So I think this is one of the easiest ways you can explain the value proposition here. So if you look at doing a transaction on Ethereum today, you're talking about spending $100 or more to do some transaction. Now, of course, that's justifiable when all of Ethereum is a DeFi platform. When every single person who's using Ethereum day to day are making more than thousands and thousands of dollars for every transaction, spending $100 as a cost is fine. But if you're trying to run a nonprofit, if your margins are already so thin, you can't use a platform like Ethereum to build your business. These kinds of, if you're trying to accept a $50 donation, it costs $100 to do that donation. That's crazy, right? Crazy. So in the whole blockchain space, we're talking about scaling. We're looking about all these different ways to do scaling. And Polkadot's way of scaling is by connecting blockchains together and what we call a layer 0 protocol. So you might have heard a lot of people here.
What is layer 0?
Exactly, yeah. So a lot of people here might be familiar with layer 2 protocols or other, I don't know if there's layer 3 protocols yet, but things built on top of blockchains, right? The thing that Polkadot is trying to do is just trying to create a meta protocol. Before establishing a blockchain and building something on top of it which optimizes it, we are establishing the Polkadot network, a Polkadot protocol, which allows these blockchains to talk to each other. And this is a thing where any blockchain can build with this protocol in mind, join the network, and get all the functionalities of cross-chain communication, interoperability, security, all across the entire Polkadot ecosystem for basically free. And then on top of that, of course, you can build other layer 2 scaling solutions. But we are building scaling at the ground level, at the infrastructure level. We're not designing scaling as a second thought. We're designing it as a primary functionality of our chain.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So explain a little bit about the parachains.
Yeah.
What's that look like for you?
Yeah, so what is a parachain? So when I talk about this future of all these blockchains connected together, those blockchains are called parachains. They're parachains because they are opting into the Polkadot protocol, they are connecting to other chains, they're working together. And so parachains really is what we imagine the future of this space to be. That even existing chains like Ethereum and Bitcoin, they might not be quote unquote native parachains, but they can be bridge chains, bridge to the community. And you can imagine if you're trying to develop a new blockchain, you would have to, in the existing ecosystem, if you want to be completely interoperable, you have to build your blockchain, then you have to figure out a bridge to Ethereum, a bridge to Bitcoin, a bridge to Solana, a bridge to this, to that. You're building like, 100 custom bridges, and every new blockchain that comes out, you have to build a new bridge to them too. The idea is, let's solve that problem. What if we defined a custom protocol that everyone could understand, right? Everyone could build their software on top of, and then when you join this, immediately you can talk to everyone. It's like everyone is speaking the same language to begin with, right? And then what we can provide to you is like bridges to the existing blockchains, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, so that you build a Polkadot parachain, and you immediately get access to all the other parachains and Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the existing chains. Yeah, there's a
can you hold your questions?
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Guys, if you could just hold your questions to the end, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So go ahead, continue. Sorry for the interruption.
That's okay, but that's the general idea of parachains, right? And so then, how do we get parachains? So one of the limitations of Polkadot, which is different than other blockchains, so on like a smart contract platform like Ethereum, anyone can go and deploy a smart contract. Anyone can push it out there. And I think we've all seen there's been really amazing smart contracts, and there's been really shitty ones, and really scammy ones, right? One of the things that Polkadot tries to do is it tries to create this economic model for the community to decide which are the best blockchains to bring onto the network. Polkadot is inherently limited to how many blockchains it can have at the first layer, but we can have a selection process to determine which is best.
So is that the use of DOT?
So this is one of the uses of DOT. But before I get into that real quick, I just want to say that in the long term, Polkadot has infinite scalability in the sense that Polkadot itself is what we call a relay chain. The relay chain is the main chain which connects the other parachains together. Our idea is that one of these parachains could also be a relay chain. So you can imagine if Polkadot could support up to 100 blockchains, one of those blockchains could be something that supports 100 blockchains. And one of those blockchains could be something that, and you can imagine this kind of flowering, kind of scaffolding where you could have literally infinite number of blockchains working together. The only downside to this model is latency. So as you get further and further from the center, the interactions between two different blockchains is going to be a little bit slower. But you can imagine that these little hubs of blockchains might be the ones that you want low latency for are going to be all related. So all the DeFi chains may be in one spot, all the gaming chains another spot, etc. And so you're going to still get that really good performance while still being able to scale in the long term. But in the short term right now, we do have a limited number of parachain slots. We're rolling out more and more parachains as we can support them. And to do that, we have these auctions. And to do auctions, we use the DOT token. So before I get into auctions, I want to talk about what the DOT token can be used for.
Please.
Yeah.
I mean, I own some, but I don't know what it could be used for.
Yeah, exactly. So DOT token is fundamentally a utility token. DOT token is not meant to replace money. It has no purposes in trying to solve, the currency problem, inflation problem, that kind of thing. It is a utility token. Its primary purposes are...
You're going to have to speak up. The rain is coming down.
Yeah, the primary purposes of DOT is one, governance. I'm sure many of you are familiar with governance tokens. You can decide to make decisions using your tokens on the future of Polkadot. But one of the interesting things about DOT is that Polkadot has built into the protocol an upgrade mechanism where literally your vote actually can change the code of Polkadot. In other types of smart contract systems, you can make a vote on what you want to happen, but the change actually happening is based on developers, based on changes of other people actually going and implementing those changes. With Polkadot, you can actually take your token and change the network directly. The second thing you can do with Polkadot is governance. It was staking. So with staking, you help secure the network. All these different parachain teams, the entire Polkadot network is secured by staking your tokens. And when you stake your tokens, you actually get an interest from your DOT tokens. So you can get up to 12%, 15% interest on your tokens per year staking by providing a service to the blockchain, by providing security to the chain. And finally, the last really main functionality of the Polkadot token is for auctions, is to be able to assign parachain slots. So let's talk about auctions, okay? Yeah?
Please.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, if we could keep the conversation down over here, unless you're going to talk about the auctions.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about auctions, okay? This is the interesting thing. It's happening right now, so you definitely want to listen, okay? So as I mentioned here, there's a limited number.
Is there money in that?
There is some money to be made in that.
Oh, so everybody shut the fuck up.
But I don't talk about the money. I talk about the tech. But you all can figure out. You can
There
put
we
the
go.
A
Come
plus
on.
B equals
Let's
C.
make some money.
Yeah. So basically, again, there's a limited number of slots for parachains. And so the question is, okay, how do we decide which ones are the best? How do we not get corrupted by, people paying in the Polkadot team, saying, okay, these are the teams I want, all that kind of stuff, right? So every single person here who owns DOT, they can decide with their DOT, with their money, which parachains they want to see on Polkadot. And in order to support them, these teams, to be a parachain, have to collect enough DOT tokens to win an auction. An auction sounds just like what you can expect. Every single team is trying to bid to say, I have the most tokens saved up that I will use to get a parachain slot. Now that parachain slot, they don't actually spend that money. What they actually do is lock the money up for 1 or 2 years, depending on how long they want to be a parachain.
And are you able to use that money?
No, and no one can touch that money. That money is locked and basically put in silo. It's basically put away for those 2 years. But what that shows is that team has enough stake of Polkadot tokens that they think that they are valuable enough. They think that they will get more value by being a parachain than they would get staking their tokens. Getting that free 15% interest return, they will lock those tokens up instead and create a parachain on Polkadot.
And how do I get into these auctions?
Yeah. So now auctions the money can be raised by the team itself. But what we've developed on Polkadot is this thing called crowd loans, right? So crowd loans is, these teams are often new. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the ICO days, right? ICOs were all trying to collect money. These teams are relatively new. They have developers, they have some good ideas, but they don't have the funding to actually be a parachain, to be a real team. And so what they've been doing is they've been collecting money, and they collect money from all of you through these crowd loans. So what you can do is you can take your DOT token, you can loan it to another team, and that team will use that token to try to bid for a parachain slot. You don't actually give them that token. You lock it up for them, basically. That token still is under your control, quote unquote, but it's locked for the 2 years if they win. And after the 2 years, you get your token back.
So you're not borrowing money, you're lending money.
You're lending the money.
Okay.
But what do you get in return? All of these teams have incentives. Just like if you were to invest at the seed round of any company, if you help get them a parachain slot, actually get their product out to launch, they will go ahead and give you tokens from their network to reward you for that. So basically, you can take your DOT token, lock it up for 2 years, you get the token of the other team, and after 2 years, you get your DOT back. It's literally, you get basically the tokens for free. The only downside for you as a contributor to a crowd loan is you don't get that 15% interest on your DOT. So if you think you found a team out there who can provide you a token which is going to get you more money than the 15% interest return on your DOT, that's when you invest in a crowd loan. And all of the teams so far on Kusama have provided that exact same thing. We are getting seed
What is
rate.
Kusama?
Yeah. So Kusama is a test, or a canary network for Polkadot. It's basically, we want to verify that everything on Polkadot is running smooth. So to do that, we actually have run another network called Kusama, which is also value-bearing, also has parachains. It has all the same properties of Polkadot, but it's a little bit more crazy. We put unaudited code there, we have new ideas, we put it out there, all that kind of stuff.
Out there,
Exactly.
Let's go.
And so we've actually been running auctions on Kusama for, I think, almost 6 months now. We have, I think, more than 12 parachains already onboarded onto Kusama. And every single one of these parachains have done crowd loans, and all of these crowd loans have earned those people more return on the crowd loan, the tokens that they got, than they would have gotten from the Kusama staking.
And how long are the auctions going to go on for on Kusama?
Yeah, so Kusama still has auctions going on. I think they're going to be going on for the next 6 months or more. I mean, we're only around 12 to 15 different parachains, and we're going to be aiming towards 100, right?
Nice.
And Polkadot just started. The first auction is happening this week. It ends, I think, on Wednesday, the first auction.
Yeah.
And we have 5 auctions happening right now, week after week. For the next 5 weeks, we'll have auctions going, where in these 5 weeks,
so if you got some money in Polkadot and you throw it into these auctions, you're bound to make a lot of money within 2
I am
years.
not a financial advisor. I can only speak on the tech. I'm just saying that this
your
is...
tech, you wrote it, right?
Yeah, the tech that I helped write.
Is it going to make people money?
It's going. I think that this is an exciting opportunity for everyone to get the seed round of the future of blockchain technology.
So you got that, guys, right? If you got Polkadot, you need to throw it in the auction.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So there are actually a lot of good videos on YouTube and stuff like that which describe how to get into crowd loans. I would recommend that you just quick search it real quick. It should be very easy.
Can they follow you on social media at all? Do you give any videos on YouTube?
Yeah, I have videos on YouTube. I have social media. Everything is Shawn Tabrizi. It's my first last name. You can find me anywhere.
Shawn what?
Shawn Tabrizi.
Okay, Tabrizi.
Yeah. You can see it probably on the Crypto Monday
flyer.
Exactly.
Yep.
But the basic idea is that you can even contribute to crowd loans on exchanges. So if you have a Kraken account, if you have a Binance account, they also support contributing right then and there as well. I of course believe that it's not your keys, not your tokens. So I would recommend you take those tokens, put it into your own wallet, and contribute directly, and you'll get the highest return on that. You won't have exchanges taking little bits of nibbles. But if you don't feel secure about that, of course you can use exchanges to support the crowd loan stuff. And then there's a lot of good teams out there. I'm not going to pick any one team as the best team or anything like that. But I would say I think the market does have an idea of what the good teams are.
And they're listed.
They're listed. So you can see how much money each of these teams have raised. So I would say if you were looking about which teams you want to support, probably take your tokens and take how much you want to put into crowd loans and probably proportionally spread it out around the same teams.
You got to do your own research.
Yeah, do your own research. Exactly.
Do your own research. Make sure that the team behind it is legit. Make sure that they're got a great team behind them, and then maybe put some money in.
Yeah. So in summary, okay, if I can get your second for one more second. In summary, right? We have Polkadot. Polkadot is, we think, the future of blockchain tech in the sense that we are going to connect other blockchains together. We're going to have a future of interoperable, many blockchain future. It's not going to be one thing. It's not maximalism. It's the exact opposite. We want cooperation, collaboration. Okay? In order to decide what that future network looks like, we are looking to you as DOT holders, people invested in the network, to make those decisions for us, to be able to put your money where your mouth is, figure out what are the best teams, what are the things you want to see. It's not, hopefully Polkadot is not just going to be another DeFi hub. I think if you actually believe in the Web3 future, you're hoping that there'll be many things like gaming, like nonprofits, like identity, all these things which could not exist.
Web3 future.
The Web3 future.
Okay.
It cannot exist on platforms like Ethereum because Ethereum pushes out all of the not strictly profitable places, right? So things like Polkadot can enable those futures. So you speak where you want to see, what you want to see Polkadot to be. You go into the crowd loans, you contribute to these auctions, and you will basically shape the future of Web3.
Okay, damn. That was a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot, sorry. A little too fast?
Yeah, guys, did you guys get that? Who here owns Polkadot? Right? Who's made money in Polkadot? Now, there's a lot of fucking hands up, and nobody gave money to the damn Boys and Girls Club. Come on now. I pulled all your cards. I'm a hustler. Let's go. I think we're ready for some questions. You ready for some questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Because they're going to bombard you.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. Danae, the beautiful, my wife right there. Take a bow. Oh, she's got some questions. If you get out of hand, she's going to beat you with the mic.
Good. Sounds like a good time. No, I was kidding. So let's say hypothetically that I had DOT, and let's say hypothetically that I had a Trezor and a Nano. What would be the most secure, safest way to invest in the parachains and the most intelligent strategy to diversify your risk?
Yeah, so if you have like a hardware wallet, the best way to use that into crowd loans is basically to install the Polkadot JS extension. So it's just like MetaMask. It's an extension that goes into your browser. It has, it's trusted in that thing. And you can connect your hardware wallet to that extension. From there, you can sign messages and access your tokens. So you could do things like directly contribute to the crowd loan, signing a message on your hardware wallet, all through the safety of your browser. So that would be the best way to do that.
Awesome. We got any more questions? I'm sure we got tons of them in the back.
Just really quick, I did want to answer because he had asked a little bit earlier about Cosmos versus Polkadot. And so I will say that, the closest, so it's very hard in the ecosystem. Everyone's trying to compare all these different new technologies together. And it's hard to compare other things to Polkadot because practically speaking, Polkadot is just quite a bit different than other blockchains. I think that's just a very fair statement. But I do think in the ecosystem, Cosmos is probably the closest thing out there. And I think people, might question why, what's Cosmos versus Polkadot? Why would one succeed or the other one might fail, or what's the differences? I think there's a lot of nitpicks you can get into it, and both platforms are still evolving. I think both platforms are good. I have a lot of friends in the Cosmos space. I was living in Berlin. They are also based in Berlin. The number one difference I would say between Cosmos and Polkadot is that all of the Cosmos ecosystem, all these different Cosmos chains, they have their own independent finance model. Each of these have their own token with their own whatever. They're completely separate. So interactions between different chains is still not quite cooperative or communicative. Like you can imagine that the success of one chain could mean the downfall of another. So you could have one chain attacking another chain or doing this weird kind of thing because their financial systems are completely not locked together. Within Polkadot, all the Polkadot teams must at some point own DOT. All of the value of these tokens ultimately come from DOT because all of the teams need DOT to win these parachain slots. So in this case, you have a different dynamic for how teams interact, because all of them are kind of invested in the same underlying ecosystem. They all have the same kind of cooperative mindset in mind. So I think in the long term, when you have these kind of, these blockchains think about, what they want to do to survive. They'll do anything to survive. I think you want to find a system which is more cooperative versus, the systems not being connected together.
You get your question answered? Awesome.
Yeah.
You dropped something.
Okay.
Over here, where are we at? I can't see.
Yeah, that was my question about Cosmos versus.
What was it?
The same question. You have the
Same question?
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Yes.
Where we at? Guys, we can't, it's hard for us to see, so you gotta raise your hands to the beautiful young lady.
Over here. So you mentioned layer 0. I've been talking about layer 0 for a while as the community, like the human beings that believe in your project, think it's valuable, and then that's actually the core security of your blockchain. As we saw with Steam and Hive, when the community isn't treated well, they fork your code and they build another community.
Yeah.
So do we need to now call that layer -1?
Yeah,
so can you explain layer 0 again?
Yeah, so
Layer 0,
So
yeah.
layer 0 just comes from it's not, we are obviously reacting to the existing space. So I think everyone considers layer 1 as the individual blockchain. So something like Bitcoin or Ethereum are layer 1s, right? Layer 2s are things built on top of the protocol to try to optimize things. So you have ZK rollups, you have the Lightning Network, you have all these other things built on top of layer 1s. We call ourselves layer 0 just because we're on the other side. We are trying to do scaling by connecting these layer 1 blockchains together, have them talk to one another, right? So this is how we are doing our scaling. And the idea is that you don't have to build a blockchain which does everything. You can build a blockchain which does something specific. So this is just it's a terminology thing. So,
but aren't those, like in that example, aren't those just Polkadot chains? They're not like, they're just parachains. They're not like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I guess I want to still claim layer 0 being the community.
yeah, I think community is definitely somewhere in the layers. I think the numbering system could be any which way, but
is that correct to say that this is? Sorry, this mic's tripping a bit. This is only working for parachains. You're not going to get existing blockchains that are not built on the Polkadot ecosystem to talk to each other through this tech. Is that correct?
Actually, I don't think that's not true. So the idea is bridging. So the idea is that if you're an individual chain, if you want to bridge to Polkadot, you have to build that bridge. I mean, there's like different protocols, different languages, all that stuff has to be redone. The idea with Polkadot is that we can build one bridge for you, and every new chain, as long as they are a parachain, can get access to all of these technologies. Now, what we try to do with being a parachain is we have built this blockchain SDK called Substrate, which makes it very easy to build new blockchains and very flexible to build exactly the blockchains you want. We've made it as flexible as possible to build whatever blockchain you want. You can actually build a Bitcoin exact replica on Substrate and Polkadot. So it's all about basically deciding like what technologies do you want to build your blockchain on. And rather than building a blockchain from ground zero, we already take you basically to the finish line and say that you just have to design the meta protocol of your blockchain.
Awesome. Any more questions? You got one back there?
So I've been following Polkadot for a while, and the other stuff on the ecosystem, Polka Foundry, Polka Bridge, Polka Markets. Can you name some of the projects that you're most excited about in the ecosystem?
Sure.
Nice. Good question.
So again, I don't like to pick favorites, but I think there are 3 teams which stand out in terms of parachains that are coming on right now, and I think those teams are also being backed by the community the highest. These are Moonbeam, A-Star, and Akala. And these are all teams that I've been working with them for more than 2 years, all of them. And they're all they're really great developers, all with really great ideas. So Moonbeam is trying to build an EVM chain in the substrate space. And I think it's already shown that within its kind of not completely optimized thing, it's able to perform like I think something like 10x or 20x more transactions in a block than Ethereum can do, based off of just basically using newer technologies. We have
Shout out to Moonbeam.
yeah, we have Akala. Akala is basically trying to act as like a Swiss Army knife of DeFi primitives. So all the things you expect from the existing DeFi ecosystem, things like DEXs, swaps, like loans, staking, all that kind of stuff, all exists on the Akala. And Akala, again, I'll get to the last part. And the last one is A-Star. And A-Star is actually looking into similar things like DeFi, but they're also looking into the next generation of contracts, where Moonbeam is basically supporting the EVM. So if you're familiar with Solidity development, EVM development, you can use that stuff on Moonbeam. A-Star is looking at more like WASM smart contracts, the next generation of contract stuff. And they're building stuff out there. And again, all of these different blockchains are looking to communicate with each other. So you don't have Moonbeam building necessarily all these DeFi primitives. They can use the ones on Akala, and they can just focus on the kind of things that they want to do, which is like optimizing the EVM. Similarly, AStar doesn't have to do EVM contracts. They can do WASM contracts because they get the benefit of being on a platform which supports EVM. All of this communication is already showing that these teams are specialized on one task and getting that task done perfectly.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How are you guys impacting Puerto Rico?
Yeah, so one of the things I've been trying to do with your brother here is actually running an education camp here. So one of the things I've done in my time at Polkadot is going around and teaching developers how to build on Polkadot. And what I've been trying to do is actually get in contact with the universities here to be able, and we actually have this this foundation called Polka Rico.
Puerto Rico.
I'm not even kidding. We have it. And
let's give it up for Puerto Rico. That's
yeah,
good.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping as soon as things calm down with COVID, as soon as we can get the kind of right help, that we can actually do education camps here in Puerto Rico, get people building blockchains on Polkadot here. And so,
you know, my brother actually really, Pedro Rivera, he wrote a curriculum for high school already.
Exactly.
Online high school. So you guys will probably be a really good match for that.
yeah, and we've been talking about this. The problem is that he's off, you know.
We'll get him
doing
here
other
for
stuff.
you.
Yeah. But
We'll tie him up.
but
He
if you-
can't go to Dubai no more.
if you are someone who can help me form a nonprofit, if you're someone who can help me contact these universities, if you're someone who can help me rally up a bunch of people, get food onto the tables, get developers in seats to learn, I'll be happy to work with you to get the education out here in
Guys,
Puerto
did
Rico.
you guys hear that? Anybody over here heard that? Yeah? Y'all heard it? No? All right. Say that again one more time for the people in the
Basically,
back.
if you can help me educate all the engineers here in Puerto Rico who are leaving this island, I've heard lots of them are leaving, keep them here, educate them about Polkadot, I can help them build Polkadot parachains.
So guys, you know, when we having these talks, it's very important for you to be quiet. And if you can't be quiet, go outside because there's a lot of information here that's really going to help impact Puerto Rico and help impact your pocket. So if you be quiet just for a minute and listen up, you may learn something, right? Yeah. One more question, guys. Where's it at?
Any more
Last
questions?
question.
Hey,
Right behind you.
question. What do you think about using Bifrost to invest in the parachain auctions? And have you done the calculations in terms of how that compares with taking out the initial capital? My worry is that leaving it in for 96 weeks, you know, we're going to be in a bear market. Dot's going to be worth $1.
Yeah, I think that there are alternative ways to contribute to crowd loans than doing it directly, and those involve kind of like other teams, like exchanges, or even like some of these parachain teams where they're providing these like liquid dots for you. That after you you contribute, you get those liquid dots. Ultimately, this is a trust thing, right? If you trust those teams to exist for 2 years from now, then maybe it's a good call. End of the day, I wrote the crowd loan program. I know how it works. You will get those tokens back at the end of the 2 years. Like that's built into the logic of the blockchain. So it's as soon as you give your tokens to someone else and let them contribute on your behalf, it's a trust system. So all I can say to you is, if you trust them, go ahead and do it. We live in a world where these protocols are meant to enable trust-free, systems. I would, your tokens, you should keep them in your wallet.
These people should thank you for you wrote them.
I literally wrote the crowd loan auction system.
Okay, so you're going to get bombarded after the talk, and everybody's going to want to know when you're coming over to their house to help them.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If you have good food, I'll come
Dude,
by.
you're in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I mean-
if you got bad food in
Yeah.
Puerto Rico,
No.
you're in the wrong
No,
person's house.
I love mofongo. Oh my gosh. If you have good mofongo, invite me over.
I cook some good mofongo, bro.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
and I'm on the beach.
Nice.
So you're going to have to
Yes.
come over. Listen, guys, let's help me thank Shawn, man. I mean, if you guys really got something out of it, help me thank him.